Hi my friends, and welcome back to a new YouTube video. Today is another reading wrap-up. It's the reading wrap-up for the month of December. I have 5 books here, 4 of which I completed and a 5th one which I started. And yeah, I don't want to talk too much. Let's just jump right into it. The book I want to show you first is also the one that I loved the most. It was really fantastic. It's The Virgin Suicides by Jeffrey Eugenides. And I think it's considered a modern classic even. It's taking place in Detroit, or I should say in a suburb of Detroit in the 1970s. And we are watching a family, the Lisbon family, throughout this book. We're just observing them. The book is written from the perspective of the neighborhood boys who throughout the story become more and more obsessed with watching the sisters and the family. And that's because over the course of the year they all commit suicide. And basically the boys want to find out what's going on, you know, why are they doing this, you know, just, yeah, it's just like blowing their mind what's happening, and like they just want to understand it. And to them the Lisbon girls are just these mythical creatures in a way. And yeah, I just want to read here the first sentence to you. So this is the first sentence in the whole novel. It goes like this. On the morning the last Lisbon daughter took her turn at suicide, it was Mary this time, and sleeping pills like Therese. The 2 paramedics arrived at the house knowing exactly where the knife drawer was, and the gas oven, and the beam in the basement from which it was possible to tie a rope. So, I mean, that's a heavy start. You know right away that all of these 5 girls are going to commit suicide. And yeah, you go into this story knowing that. But the story isn't really, I mean, the main focus isn't to me about the deaths or the suicides. It's really that in the beginning there's one suicide, and then it's mostly about the trauma after. So the majority of the book is just like the time between the first suicide and the last one. So really, yeah, how to grieve, really, how they grieve. It's about depression, the depression they all experience, all the girls. So to me it was more, yeah, about how you handle death more than about the actual death happening, and basically what leads to somebody to commit suicide. So it's in a way weird to recommend a book that's about suicides, about this topic, but it is just how it's written is amazing. It blew my mind. I felt like with every single sentence there was a lot of meaning in it. Every single sentence I felt like, oh, there's one detail, something to analyze about like these girls, about why they did it, something. So you don't really get an answer in the book, while you do and you don't, but it's not like a set one given why they committed all these suicides, but you yourself become kind of like a detective is the wrong word, but like a psychologist, and you analyze everything just like the boys in the neighborhood. And that to me was so well done. I do want to say though that if you have a problem with depression and suicides and that's like a trigger for you, I wouldn't pick this book up, but otherwise it was really worth it. It is really odd, I want to say that too. It's weird. It's a weird topic to write about, but I don't know, it was good weird. And yeah, it really showed like what young girls are like, the stress they go through, and yeah, how one thing can lead to a big tragedy. So fantastic book. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And yeah, give it a try if you're not afraid of the topic, and if you're okay with books being a little odd sometimes. The next book I want to talk about is a thriller. It's The Widow by Fiona Barton. And yeah, in this book we basically follow a woman. Her name is Jean, and in the beginning of the story she's sitting at home and there are reporters banging on her door asking her to make a statement, to please talk about her husband who has just died. And they're doing that because Jean was married to somebody who was suspected of having committed a horrible crime. He was suspected through his lifetime of having abducted a girl and, you know, maybe killed her. Nobody knows, because he never admitted anything. And they couldn't definitely say that it was him, so the question was always up in the air. Did he do it? Did he not? If he did it, where's the girl? Is she still alive? Where's the body? Well, now they're hoping that since he has died, that the wife will start speaking and that she will answer some of these questions. So there's a lot of pressure on Jean, and yeah, throughout the story we basically go back in the past and we learn about the last few years, how it was for her, how her husband was, what he suspected of, how the crime happened. And yeah, in the end we get our answer, if he did it or not, or if maybe somebody else was involved. So I thought it was a good book. I picked it up because on the cover here it says, if you like Gone Girl and The Girl on the Train, you might want to pick up The Widow. And Gone Girl was one of my top reads of 2022. So I had to pick The Widow up. And yeah, I see why they would compare Gone Girl to The Widow. There were some similarities, but it definitely was not on the same level. Gone Girl was still like a lot higher for me, because what fascinated me in Gone Girl was the dual perspective between husband and wife. And here we didn't have it. We only had the wife and that of like a detective and a reporter. However, I thought it was entertaining. I did enjoy reading it. I could feel the suspense. I wanted to know what's happening. So I was entertained, but at the same time, I predicted everything. Like, I knew the end. It wasn't a surprise to me. So yeah, that was one of my criticisms. But as I said, other than that, it was a good read. I do want to speak out a trigger warning, because in this book, child pornography and child abduction is a topic. It's not really like described graphically or in detail, but it is mentioned and it is part of the crime. So if you're triggered by that, I would not recommend it to you. But other than that, yeah, it was a good read, but as I said, not fantastic. So all in all, I think it's definitely not 4 stars, but maybe a little more than 3. Maybe I'll give it 3.5 out of 5 stars for The Widow. Now here we have a non-fiction book. It's The Fran Lebowitz Reader by Fran Lebowitz. She's on the cover and I just love this cover. It looks so cool. I first became aware of Fran Lebowitz when I watched her Netflix special, her Netflix show, where she's talking about life in New York, and it's hilarious. Even if you don't live in New York, you're going to appreciate it. I loved it, so if you haven't seen it, please do. So after I saw that, I thought I want to have more Fran Lebowitz content. I want to consume it. And so I found this book. It's actually a collection of 2 other books she wrote, one of which is social studies and the other metropolitan life. And she basically writes humorous essays about anything she observes, about life here in the city, the people that she meets, everything. So for example, there are some essays, let's see, for example, like here's an essay that's called Children, Pro or Con, and she literally makes just a list of pros or cons about children, and it's all very humorous. Then we have an essay here that says Success Without College, or Digital Clocks and Pocket Calculators, Spoilers of Youth. So really anything you can think of, she writes about. So yeah, all in all, I like this book, but not as much as I thought, which was primarily because a lot of her essays are really, from her personal life. So she lives in a world of like a lot of art. She's a writer and lives in New York City. So a lot of her essays are about writing, about agents calling, about arts and hanging out with art people, and New York City. So if you're not part of that life, some of these essays, were harder to relate to, but others then I found really hilarious. So it really depended on the essay. She did have really interesting points, but also I have to say that the language was sometimes a little difficult for me. I don't know if that's because I'm, English isn't my mother tongue, but some of them were a little difficult for me. But yeah, all in all, it was interesting. It was, yeah, it just depended on the essay, but there's so many in here and they're really short. So if you don't like one, you know, you can just skip it, move on to the next. It was interesting, but yeah, I'll give it 3 out of 5 stars. I think that's a good, good compromise. But yeah, if you don't want to read this, please watch the show though. Please do. Next we have Midwinter Murders by Agatha Christie. I got this book for Christmas, and what can I say? I read it right away. It didn't even go onto my TBR pile because I was really in the mood for some mystery stories by the one and only Agatha Christie. I just love her mysteries. And yeah, this book is a short story collection of a bunch of mysteries that are all set during the winter months. And yeah, some of them are with Hercule Poirot, the detective that you may know from other stories. Some of them are with Miss Marple, and others are with neither of them, standalone. And I have never read any stories with Miss Marple. I know of her, but I've never read a story with her, only Hercule Poirot. And after having completed this, I can say that I love Miss Marple. I want to read more stories with her. I don't know if you're aware, but I put a ban on buying books for now. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to work on diminishing my TBR, but as soon as I can, I'm definitely going to get some Agatha Christie stories about Miss Marple. So yeah, I can say all in all, great read. Some stories were fantastic, others were a little weaker, but you know, with short story collections, that's always the case. But yeah, all in all, I was really entertained, and I did get into the winter spirit, so I'll give it 3 out of 5 stars. The last book I just want to briefly hold into the camera is Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. It's a reread, and yeah, I just started rereading all the Harry Potter novels and rewatching all the books, the movies, and yeah, the next one is the Prisoner of Azkaban. So I'm gonna finish this one soon, and then I'm probably gonna do another Harry Potter special. I'll record a video where I talk about the differences between the movie and the book, and yeah, I hope you're looking forward to it. I certainly am. I love the whole Harry Potter universe, so yeah, I'll finish this one soon. And yes, that's everything I have for you today. As always, I wish you all the best for the next week. Stay safe, stay healthy, and bye-bye.